Hello, this is Stephen Childs, founder of the World Fairness Agreement, author of it, founder of the Church of Fairness and Team Fairness. So I'm listening to people like Jordan Peterson, and then last night I was listening to Robert Falconer talking about how the materialists have killed more people than anybody else ever. And by they're pitting sides, like this versus that, the spiritual people versus materialists. And I think it's a misguided arrangement. We have a this versus that, good versus evil, fundamentally. And what is that? It's fairness versus unfairness. So unfairness is trying to conquer fairness against its will. So look at everything in the world in that way, rather than any other way. You can look at it any way you want to, but for a minute, look at it the way I'm describing it. I was wondering who was the enemies to Stalin, because Stalin killed his own people to gain all power over his turf, over his nation. Why? What's going on here? So it says that during Stalin's rule, 1927 to 1953. Oh, this is Copilot AI. My question was, who was a threat to USSR when Stalin ruled? Threats to the USSR came from both internal and external sources. Stalin was famously paranoid and ruthless in neutralizing anything he perceived as a challenge to his authority or to Soviet power. Here's a breakdown of the key threats. I think it's interesting that he was paranoid, famously paranoid. Well, they were out to kill him. They were out to get him. It's like, just because you're paranoid doesn't mean there might not be people trying to kill you. There might be people trying to kill you, even though you're paranoid. So anyway, there was Trotsky, a fellow communist that was trying to gain position, the Bolsheviks, military leadership, intellectuals and scientists. Anyone with independent thought or influence was suspect. That's the only one I went into any detail on. Ethnic minorities. There's Chechens, Crimean. So we see the ongoing conflict in Ukraine and Crimea. Okay, the external threats. Nazi Germany. Hitler was trying to take over the world. Imperial Japan. Japan was trying to take over the world so that somebody else doesn't take over the world. And that's what Hitler was doing. And that's what Stalin's doing. They're all trying to take over the world because somebody else is trying to. So there's Western powers, USA, Britain. There's people here that want to take over the world. There's Zionists in using religion. There are white supremacists using MAGA. White supremacy comes from the Bible. So you have people using the Bible to fight against Zion. But it's the Zion of the Jews they're fighting against. And then you have other people that are Zionists that join with the Jews to take over the world so somebody else doesn't. Because if the other guys win, they'll probably kill you. because you've been fighting against them. So the world is this one thing after another, just like this. I could do the same query for who was a threat to Japan when they bombed Pearl Harbor, or who was a threat to Mao Zedong when he founded China, and on and on. Who was a threat to the USA, the 13 original colonies, the King of England and so forth, the Native Americans. So we have spiritual people that are evil, and we have materialist people that are good, ethical atheism, and we have evil atheism. Why are we evil? Let's stay focused on the root of it. We're evil so that somebody else that's evil doesn't gain control over us. So we match their evil with our evil, or even more evil. So evil's unfairness, and goodness is fairness. Do you see how that's the root of everything? Is that we're doing each other wrong. The people in the USSR area, Russia, that geography, it goes back to fights between the steppes, and I looked into it almost to the point of prehistory. And you can extend through logic prehistorically to tribes that are separated tribes of humans that are in conflict with each other for resources. So the more weapons we get, the more people get killed. So Jordan Peterson never talks about how many people were killed in the Crusades or tortured in the Christian Crusades and in the Inquisition. Why were they doing it? Because they wanted to take over the world so somebody else didn't. Catholicism came from Roman Empire. Roman Empire. It's all about evil empire trying to conquer the world. So Team Fairness is like the Rebel Alliance. But I've defined what it's about. Nobody has ever defined what it's about before. Nobody ever thought of this. Maybe I'm right. Why haven't we heard of it? I've already explained that. Because the people in power don't want fairness. I've been attacked ruthlessly because of this idea. This idea that we all become friends and we all care about each other and we stop doing each other wrong. If people would have been practicing fairness from the beginning, none of this tribal warfare would have happened. We would join together in friendship and cooperation and mutually empower each other. So, you can look at like overpopulation. The way it is now, we don't even talk about it. We're not even dealing with it. We have climate change, global warming, caused by humans. We don't even deal with it because we have these pressing issues of war on our doorstep. World War III, just over the horizon. And it's headed this way. So the human being is a combination of cooperation and domination. You can go back to the tribal small tribes and how we had this dynamic of cooperation versus domination. So nature's way is the male dominates the other males, and then he passes on his genetics. He gets the girls or the other female animals, and the ones that he defeats, they don't get anything. So the incentive is to dominate so that you have the resources to continue your genetics. There's no mind in this, it's just blind evolution. The blind evolution also created our heart with our love for our offsprings and love for the female or the male, whichever the case may be, that create the offspring, love for the community that protects our offspring. So let's look at who wins. The USA was dominated by an unfair rule of Great Britain. When we united into 13 original colonies, they're making 13 states, we were able to overthrow the rule over us and create our own rule, which we created the government, the USA Constitution. Look at China under communist takes over. They had to kill people to unite their country. USA had to kill people to unite USA. And it was the redcoats, people sent over from Great Britain to maintain their rule of us here. So there was like a third of the people that wanted to stay loyal to the king, and a third that were neutral, and a third that wanted to be separated from the king's rule. I heard that said somewhere. I don't know, did the people pro independence kill the USA people, the American people that were supporting the King of England? There's the Benedict Arnold that was traitor to the revolution. So I don't know. I don't really know. I'd like to look into that. What was the history of how did we unify the 13 states? Was there violence involved? Okay, so my point is that in order to get more power, we unify. We create a unity, whether it's forced upon us by a tyrant ruler or it's created by invitation to join with. Join with us. We have this Constitution, and we even have a Bill of Rights. So join with us and you'll be guaranteed of these rights. So it's an invitation. Team fairness is also an invitation. So through invitation, there's no bad blood from the conflict. There's no war nobody takes over anyone. People just willingly join the winning side. So the world's right now is in a place it's never been before because we have modern technology. So we can communicate to the whole world and translate the communication into all the languages quickly with translator apps on our smartphone. So it's not about what your beliefs are and if they're fair beliefs. It is about unfair beliefs. Unfair beliefs cause misery. Fair beliefs cause prosperity, happiness, because we're not doing anyone wrong. When you do somebody wrong, you got to get enough power to stop them from telling people about it. So we have like the Epstein files. So these girls, they're groomed into being underage prostitutes. Basically, they were paid something. So they're trying to hush them up, and they have done for several years. And how does that play out? The way I experience being hushed up is the team that wants to be unfair and rule the world, that makes people angry, unless you're smart enough to not get angry at them. I'm finally smart enough to not get angry. I surrender to the all-powerful, and I trust the all-powerful. So they're trying to hush us up. Like when a group of men rape some female, they threaten her, they terrorize her to the point where she will have sex with anybody they want with anybody they want. I apologize for my broken language. It's just that this is the way my brain is now. I have to deal with it. So I remember hearing a video, I'm getting some fight against me right now. Internally, spiritually, mentally. Spirit means mental. Tucker Carlson was talking about how you find out who's telling the truth. And this was when they were putting the Supreme Court justice in that was accused of raping Linda. They were in college age. They were basically gang raping women, young women. See, if the woman is threatened into submission and she's convinced kind of gradually, kind of like the frog in the boiling water, you heat it up slowly and it doesn't realize it's getting boiled to death. So they dominate the woman, they groom them so that they will have sex with them rather than be attacked by them. So it's a spiritual mental attack that they're experiencing. So they become hysterical. If they get angry, if you show any anger, then you're hysterical. So Tucker Carlson said that the woman, the person that becomes hysterical, waving their arms or whatever, that person is lying. This is what Tucker Carlson claimed. So this is how you determine, he's basically teaching people how to groom females on his program. He was teaching them how. You upset them to the point that you can gaslight them and upset them, and they will surrender and do whatever you want. When tribes are in war against another tribe, what do they do to the women of the other tribe? Anything they want. That's what happens in war. The Bible condones it. The Old Testament. Take the women, do what you want with them, kill all the men with the sword. That's Zionism. That's the foundation of Zionism. if you don't surrender to that God, you better run, because that God, the wrath of that God will be upon you. So their own people had to surrender to that God, or they'd be ganged up on by their own people. That's where the Jewish people came from. So we have people in Israel that don't like what's going on in Gaza. They can't say too much about it because they would be in trouble with the power of Israel. So you have young men being trained, being taught to be evil, to be unfair. Okay, we've got the communication. We've got the knowledge. We understand this stuff. We can make a decision to stop doing each other wrong. Thanks for listening.